Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Friends to Mr. Nico Kleynhans. Good morning, sir, and thank you for your time.
Good morning to you. Good morning to the listeners.
Nico, you've got some interesting news that broke late last week, and when you sent me the information, I was flabbergasted. Please tell us what it's all about.
Okay. I want to talk about the new proposed mandatory welfare fund. Now, those of you, most of us know that South Africa has a fund at this time, which we call the UIF fund. That fund, we contribute 1% of our income, and the employer contributes 1% of our income, and that then funds this particular benefit fund. And the idea is that if you become unemployed, the fund pays between 36 and 56% of your salary for a period of time. If you become disabled, the fund pays 1,890 rand per month. If you become pregnant and you claim under the maternity benefits, from 11 weeks before the baby is born until about 6 months, you will get a benefit from this particular fund. Although one of the journalists who reported on this last week claimed that her benefit was delayed by several months. When you get to retire, this fund believes you can live on 1,890 rand per month if you are between 65 and 75. So if you and your husband are both drawing, you get about 3,700 rand per month. Now, this is what the government says is sufficient for you to live. So last night I came across a family who get the 3,700 rand, but they no longer have accommodation, and now they need to go into a state facility. But the state facility doesn't want you if you're earning less than 6,000 rand, which is way below what SASSA pays. So those people find it impossible to get into any kind of state facility. So we admit that the UIF fund is not paying enough money. It's not paying enough money for people to survive, and it is not protecting people. And so the minister has proposed that we create a new mandatory welfare fund. The proposed scope of the fund will be more significant, but our contributions will go up from 2% to 12%. So that'll be another 10% tax on everybody earning over 23,000 rand per month. Because government says if you're earning 23,000 rand a month, you are wealthy. So if that's your earning, you will pay 12% directly into this new fund. For those of us earning less than 23,000, a 12% contribution is still demanded. However, the government will subsidize that amount, and that subsidy comes from the other taxpayers. So it's going to cost us a lot of money. Now, this completely reverses what Tito wanted and completely reverses what he said even 3 months ago. And I'm going to say that's why he left. Because this particular new fund is going to undermine several agreements that have been in place with the unions and with the taxpayers in general. Now, I need to say that I believe we have a responsibility to protect those who fall between the cracks. That is our responsibility as Christians. It is our responsibility as citizens. So I'm not objecting to the new mandatory fund. I'm not objecting to that. What I am objecting to is how the government is going to implement it. Because, in fact, the government is going to create another monopoly. So let's look at some of the other monopolies that government has created. SAA, Eskom, PRASA, the Post Office, Land Bank, Denel, the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Company, SABC. I can name another 22 such government monopoly. And all they have in common is they show us the government doesn't have credibility. And it shows us that it is incapable of governing these entities responsibly. And at the end of the day, it does that because it keeps promoting loyal party members into running these institutions, regardless of their competence. So while I think a mandatory fund is necessary, if we create another government monopoly where they decide the rules, they decide where this money that we're going to pay in gets invested, and they decide who's going to invest it, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to work. We have a thriving retirement industry in this country that is not in the hands of government. It works. It's providing us. Now government wants another monopoly, which is going to create a massive new debt, and people are going to react. We have in South Africa 111,000 taxpayers pay the maximum rate. 50 million people in the country, 111,000 pay the maximum rate. If this is implemented, 55% of their salary will go directly to the government. The 45% that is left, they've got to pay VAT. They've got to pay the indirect taxes, such as fuel levies and all the other things. A large slice of those are going to emigrate. There is no ways it's worth their while to spend the first 22 days of the month paying taxes and earning and keeping only what's left of the last 8 days. For those of us who are not at the maximum, we're going to end up feeling helpless. We're going to see the effect on our pockets, and most of us are going to gripe. And we're going to end up helpless. That's what I don't like, that feeling of helplessness. People of faith do have some options, but I want to challenge listeners right now to do something. Don't just end up feeling helpless. One of the ways you can help, this thing is going to be a big fight because the political parties were not consulted. Phone one and mobilize with them. That gives you power, more power than you think. Talk to your neighbors and make sure at the local elections that they vote. That vote expresses an opinion. It allows you to make a statement. It was a couple of years ago when hundreds of thousands of us gathered in our streets. We had banners and flags, and we got rid of Zuma. We did that. It's not the ruling party that got rid of him. They reacted to our voices. So while we need a mandatory fund, we do not need one managed exclusively in a monopolistic situation by a party that has proven itself incapable of that task. So please warn your neighbors, get involved, and let's get some sense of justice for once. Let's do our support, but not at the cost of a party enriching itself.
Thank you so much, Nico, for your time, and thank you for just giving us that information so concisely. Have a good day and all the best.
Thank you very much.